All right, it's 9 a.m. and let's get started. So, good morning, everyone, from participants from Bangalore. Good evening, people from US, and good afternoon for people from other parts of the country. My name is Kunal Ghosh, and welcome to our next webinar on library characterization and modeling part 2. This is in association with Rohit Sharma, who is currently the CEO of paripat.com. We'll talk more about that. So after a year's wait, we have released the course on library characterization and modeling part 1 last year, sometime in the month of Jan. So after a wait of year and a half, we are coming with the part 2 of that course. We have committed a lot of things in the part 1 of library characterization and modeling, and I think it's time to fulfill that commitment. So my name is Kunal Ghosh, and I have received my MTech degree from Department of Electrical Engineering from IIT Bombay in 2010, and I have specialized in VLSI design and nanotechnology during my 3-year tenure at IIT Bombay. And after that, I have been working as physical design and STA lead at Qualcomm and Cadence. So I've been dealing with libraries. I've been using libraries a lot in the whole set of career. Rohit Sharma is the founder and CEO of Paripat.com, which is based in Milpitas, California. He is graduated from IIT Delhi, and he has authored and published 2 books, which are and several papers in the international conferences. So we also did one of the webinar with him on machine learning sometime 2 to 3 weeks back, and this is the second webinar that we are doing with him. Also, the part 1 of this particular course was done was completely based on his book that he had released sometime 2 to 3 years back. And these are the 2 books that we are talking about. So library characterization and modeling part 1 course is completely based out of this book, which is being authored by Rohit, and this is the second book that he had released sometime like few weeks back. And we did a webinar, we did an entire webinar on machine intelligence in design automation last week. So that's about pretty much the introduction. Now, first of all, let me give you a platform. Let me set the platform over here to where do we need the characterization, and what is the actual need for the characterization. So if you look into a complete IC design flow, in an IC design flow, it starts with logic synthesis. So basically, you take the RTL netlist and synthesize it in form of using some gates and the memories and IPs and all these things. So that step is basically called as logic synthesis. After you synthesize your netlist, it goes to the floor planning stage, where you actually decide the width and height of the core and the die, and you place the pins at the boundaries. So everyone is able to see this, right? Because I just saw something got logged out. All right, fine. So the next step is basically floor planning, where you actually decide the width and height of the core and the die, and you do the power planning, and you basically place the pins outside in the core area, in the boundary of your chip. The next step is basically placement, where you actually place the cells, place the flip-flops and the memories on the inside the core of the chip. The next step is basically the clock tree synthesis, where you actually route the clock port. So basically, clock, if it is coming from this port, it has to be routed, and it has to reach each and every flop and point, and it has to go through some set of buffer. So there is some amount of clock tree synthesis that happens in the next stage. And after clock tree synthesis, we actually route the entire chip. So you have the different cells which is being placed over here. The next step is to basically route them at the appropriate, using the shortest length, or the shortest length of wire. And finally, once you are done with all of them, you do a static timing analysis. So static timing analysis also basically, it's a performance measurement. You calculate setup, hold, and all those kind of performance of your circuit. So that's the pretty much the flow of the IC design flow. Now there is one common thing that is being present across all of the stages, and that is basically the gates of the cell. So basically, the AND gate, OR gate, buffer, inverter, the latches, the ICGs, these are all common, and these things are basically stored in a set called as library. And this particular course, and the course which this particular webinar, and the course which was prior to this webinar, which was library characterization and modeling part 1, it's all about how do you characterize, design, and model this cell. So this is pretty much the benchmark, or this is the need of characterization. So as you can see, none of these particular steps that I have just explained, these are not possible without the libraries. So that forms the heart of any chip design or any VLSI engineering, and that becomes the heart of your VLSI engineering, and that's what this webinar and the previous course is all about. So this webinar will be mostly about the part 2, about how do we characterize cells and how do we look into the different other modeling techniques of this particular cells. With that said, let me transfer the control to Rohit. But before that, let me set up some rules. So rules are basically, since we have a lot of participants which are joining in, so there will be a lot of questions that will be coming in. So we have set certain rules, and we have been doing this for the past webinars also. Once Rohit finishes one concept, we'll open the forum for questions. We'll open the forum for Q&A, and within that 5 minutes, you can basically ask all your questions, and we will try to answer all of them. And if not possible, if we are not able to answer all of them, you just drop your questions in the chat box. So if you can see on the Zoom, it provides a chat box over here. You just click on more, and you will see the chat box. You just type all your questions in the chat box, and in the next Q&A session, and whenever there is a small break of 5 minutes, we'll try to answer all of them as and when we go forward in the webinar. So that's the rule that we have to maintain, because since there are a lot of participants, a lot of questions will be coming, and we have to follow that rule so that each and every question is being answered by Rohit and me. Okay, so that's all from my side, and let me transfer the entire control to Rohit, and he will walk you through the entire characterization steps and what all things and the variation models that we had planned to cover in this particular webinar. So yeah, over to you, Rohit. I'll stop sharing.